Here are the stories we're covering this week in the Category 5.tv newsroom. MySpace, one of the first online social networks, has apologized after a server migration caused a huge loss of data. There's a critical vulnerability in a model of Fujitsu wireless keyboards that makes it easy for hackers to take full control of connected computers. AI is going to be huge for artists, and the latest demonstration comes from NVIDIA, which has built a prototype software that turns doodles into realistic landscapes. And one of the world's biggest producers of aluminum has been hit by a serious ransomware attack that has shut down its worldwide network, stopped or disrupted plants, and sent IT workers scrambling to return operations to normal. These stories are coming right up. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Category 5.tv newsroom, covering the week's top tech stories with a slight Linux bias.
Jeff Weston,
Yeah, man.
you're building a brand new, beautiful website,
What?
aren't you?
No. Am I?
Oh, you're a terrible actor.
What?
This is where acting comes into play.
Oh, I didn't know we were acting.
You're supposed to act.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Yeah, I'm building a really cool website. Are you building a really cool website? Just because Jeff is confused doesn't mean you have to be. Visit cat5.tv/dreamhost to sign up for unlimited web hosting for your website with unlimited email accounts, MySQL databases, the latest version of PHP, WordPress, and more, and even a free domain name registration. It's less than $6 per month, so sign up today. cat5.tv/dreamhost.
I'm Sasha Rickman, and here are the top stories we're following this week. MySpace, one of the first online social networks, has apologized after a server migration caused a huge loss of data. A message on its website says that any photos, videos, and audio files updated more than 3 years ago may no longer be available. There had been complaints going back several months that links to music were no longer working. The platform has waned in popularity since it was founded in 2003, but in its prime it attracted millions of users. In 2006, it was the most visited site in the US, beating Google. It was a popular platform for sharing new music and has been credited with helping to launch the careers of artists including the Arctic Monkeys and Kate Nash. Quote, as a result of a server migration project, any photos, videos, and audio files you updated more than 3 years ago may no longer be available on or from MySpace. End quote, said the firm in a statement. We apologize for the inconvenience. Andy Bayo, who helped build the Kickstarter crowdfunding site, tweeted that the loss could amount to some 50 million tracks by 14 million artists over that period. He also questioned whether the loss was accidental, saying in a tweet, "Flagrant incompetence may be bad PR, but it still sounds better than, we can't be bothered with the effort and cost of migrating and hosting 50 million old MP3s. MySpace was bought by News Corp in 2005 for $580 million. It was sold in 2011 for $35 million to ad targeting firm Specific Media. While it is no longer a major player in the social media field, some people who use it still in its prime still use it now as an archive.
Yeah,
So,
ouch. Do you imagine?
Can you imagine the loss in like
revenue?
I bought it for this much and I'm selling it to you for this much.
That's like everyone who bought a whole bunch of Bitcoin when it was worth $30,000.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden it's $1,000.
Oh. And now
Ouch.
I am having a bad
Wow.
day. Okay.
Who bought MySpace in 2005? I guess it was really huge before Facebook, before Twitter.
Exactly.
Yeah. I had a MySpace account because Soul Cleansed.
Right.
Soulcleansed.com. The band, yeah.
Yes.
We distributed our music on MySpace, but I imagine it's gone now.
Well, I believe it would be. I mean, if you were using it as an archive, I'm sorry, because archive no
I think
longer.
anyone who was using MySpace as an archive needed to move on anyways.
Right.
Like maybe it's just there's a bit of nostalgia, so it's a bit of a that's a part of my life from many years ago.
So what do people use now instead of MySpace?
Anything.
Everything.
Anything.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
That's why. That is why we no longer...
To answer the question bluntly, YouTube.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, where is Vivo? YouTube.
Yeah.
That's
It's all...
simple
Yeah,
as
it's
it is.
pretty much always YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, my smart TV has its own YouTube already built in. Like I can watch things
Sure,
on
but that's
Netflix
where
or on
artists
YouTube.
get famous. That's where
Yeah.
people make it.
I feel like that's where Justin Bieber got famous. I feel like that could be wrong, but it
It's
might
totally
be YouTube.
true.
Is it?
Yeah. The rise and fall of Justin Bieber this week on YouTube. Don't know how we got into Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Canadian?
He's
Maybe
Canadian.
That was our CanCon
That's right.
little nod. for
That
the
we can
night.
be on CBC.
Sorry about that, folks. Didn't mean to make you think about Justin Bieber.
And now there's a critical vulnerability in a model of Fujitsu wireless keyboards that makes it easy for hackers to take full control of connected computers. The Fujitsu wireless keyboard set LX901 uses a proprietary 2.4 gigahertz radio communication protocol called wireless USB LP from Cypress Semiconductor. While the keyboard and mouse send input that's protected with the time-tested advanced encryption standard, the USB dongle that accepts the input accepts unencrypted packets as well, as long as they're in the proper format. Researchers with the Germany-based penetration testing firm SYSS developed a proof-of-concept attack that exploits the insecure design. Using a small hardware device, they were able to send commands to the vulnerable Fujitsu keyboard receiver dongles that are within range. The researchers were able to send input of their choice that's automatically funneled to the connected computer. In an advisory published Friday, the researchers warned that they can combine this injection exploit with a replay attack. This allows attackers to record encrypted keystrokes the wireless keyboard sends to the USB dongle receiver. Then the hackers can send the recorded data to the receiver. In the event the hackers record the keystrokes the rightful computer owner uses to unlock the machine, the attackers can later use them to gain access when the computer is locked and unattended. The attacks can be carried out by anyone who is within range of an affected keyboard set and takes the time to build the hardware that exploits the replay and injection flaws. Normally, that distance is about 30 feet, but the use of special antennas could extend that range. That leaves the possibility of attacks from hackers in nearby offices or homes. Even though the researchers reported their exploit to Fujitsu back in October, there is currently no known fix for the vulnerabilities. Anyone using the keyboard model should strongly consider replacing it immediately.
Yeah, I'll say.
So you can be like next door. You can be walking on the street in front of a store top. Yeah.
How many of us don't use wireless?
Right.
Right?
It's funny. I read these news stories on my lunch break, and I have the only.
You're looking at the model of your keyboard.
I have the only wired keyboard. I think. I looked over at the girl who works beside me. Hers is wireless. I looked into the other office. Hers are.
Oh, isn't it convenient?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
a wireless are all convenient. Mine is
Yeah.
plugged in. So if I had a Fujitsu, just there's no going back. Like you have to replace it. Is that?
Yeah, that's kind of how it's looking. If it's taken them this long and there's still not a patch, so it's not a software thing. It's not something that can be updated. So
They
may need
just-
to move on. My concern, so we think about the distance of, so a wireless keyboard, I mean, this has to be within range of the device in order to communicate with it.
Right.
Similarly, this Fujitsu keyboard has to be within range of the receiver, the USB receiver.
Right.
And so does the exploiting hardware. So whether it's a Raspberry Pi based device, like some kind of device that is built to be able to intercept and inject
Right.
keyboard commands, it has to be within the range of the receiver as well. So in the news story, they take the approach, the original writer took the approach of saying, well, they could use antennas to be further away, but hold on, wait a second, just hold up. These days, we've got SSH, we've got VNC, we've got all kinds of other technologies, and if you're not familiar with those, let me explain. So my exploiting device. This is a hypothetical. So I've got an exploiting device that I've created based on a Raspberry Pi, say. So this is a little single board computer. So I can put that in your office within 30 feet of your computer, and it can read and write to your keyboard. Okay? I can be in Iqaluit. I can be way down there in Florida, sitting on a beach somewhere, drinking a mojito.
Right.
Because that's what I would be doing. And I could be on my laptop computer or my tablet, and as long as I've got internet, I can connect into that Raspberry Pi, and I can control your computer wirelessly through an exploit from a device that I've hidden in the drop ceiling.
Right. Or even just like in the neighboring office. Like in the neighboring, because storefronts are so small now.
Absolutely.
Right? You can just have a space like next door.
Yeah, in a plaza.
Right.
Right, side by side. But you think
or just like on the underside of like the mailbox or something where you wouldn't even think.
Yeah. So think about a legal office or a government office where, you know, something like this could be easily dropped. I mean, a Raspberry Pi Zero, power that from a battery.
Now, this story is about Fujitsu.
Stick it anywhere. Fujitsu is the keyboard manufacturer that is easily exploited. So if you know that the keyboard is an affected device.
So the fear isn't all wireless keyboards.
Not necessarily.
Have the others been tested?
It shows
or
an
is
exploit.
This just, yeah.
Well, it is this particular receiver.
Yeah. So
there's a possibility that other devices use the same similar semiconductor technology in order to receive data.
So is there? I mean, this might be a question that it's just a hypothetical, but like I have a Fujitsu keyboard, let's say, and I'm throwing it out, and I want to order a new keyboard.
Okay.
I'm recycling it.
Sure.
How do I know that the one I order is okay if I've just been like my confidence has been compromised on wireless technology?
Yes.
So how do I know?
That's the inevitable question. That's the rhetorical question these days. How do I know that when I sign up for such and such online service that my data is not going to be compromised?
Right.
How do I know that the keyboard I buy is not going to be compromised? How do you know?
So
how do you
buy
know?
wired? Sometimes you can't, right? Like, so maybe just
Is there an answer to that? It is rhetorical in many ways. But in this particular case, it's just really recognizing the potential for that exploit and realizing that, hey, this could be a bigger thing than you might let on. You might think, hey, well, I'm in the middle of nowhere, or my office is well away from every other office. I could have used this in public school.
Yeah.
Put one of those little devices atop the counseling office and modified my report card.
If you remove the dongle when you're not using the keyboard, I wonder what
we're
that
getting
helps.
We're getting really
I'm trying to
serious
think,
here.
what could I do?
It would help.
It would help.
You
so
could
maybe
physically remove the receiver from your computer
every time you are not using your keyboard. Like, okay,
Correct.
I want to type. Put the dongle in. Does it need? And then just type. Take it out again.
Yeah,
bingo,
sure.
bango.
You
Like
could do
maybe.
that.
I mean, I'm not saying if you have a Fujitsu, just like buy a new keyboard.
Yeah.
But perhaps if you're just in love with the idea of a wireless keyboard, think about the things that can be exploited in your keyboard, and that happens to be that little dongle.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's my fix. Unplug
That's
it.
your fix.
Yeah.
But they can still monitor your keystrokes. So they can still catch your credit card information. They can still catch your passwords.
Right.
If they're within the range, if they have one of those exploiting devices within the range. It's a tough thing, Sasha.
It's tricky, this technology.
I know.
I love it, and then I don't as much. AI is going to be huge for artists, and the latest demonstration comes from NVIDIA, which has built prototype software that turns doodles into realistic landscapes. Using a type of AI model known as Generative Adversarial Network, or GAN, the software gives users what NVIDIA is calling a smart paintbrush. This means someone can make a very basic outline of a scene, drawing, say, a tree on a hill, before filling their rough sketch with natural textures like grass, clouds, forests, or rocks. The results are not quite photorealistic, but they are impressive all the same. This software isn't groundbreaking exactly. Researchers have shown off similar tools in the past, including using one from Google that turns doodles into clip art, but it is the most polished demonstration of this concept we've seen to date. The software generates AI landscapes instantly, and it's surprisingly intuitive. For example, when a user draws a tree and then a pool of water underneath it, the model adds the tree's reflection to the pool.
Wow.
I know. Generating fake grass and water is relatively easy for GANs because the visual patterns involved are unstructured. Generating pictures of buildings and furniture by comparison is much trickier, and the results are much less realistic, and that's because these objects have a logic and structure to them that humans are sensitive to. GANs can overcome this sort of challenge, as we've seen with AI-generated faces, but it does take a lot of extra effort. NVIDIA didn't say if it has any plans to turn the software into an actual product, but it suggests that tools like this could help everyone from architects to urban planners to landscape designers and game developers in the future. NVIDIA's Brian Canzano said it's much easier to brainstorm designs with simple sketches, and this technology is able to convert sketches into highly realistic images.
Unreal. We've heard about them doing the faces
Right.
with AI, with GAN.
But now they have...
Landscapes too?
That is great.
If they take these two things and migrate them into a video game. I talked about, when we talked about the GAN faces, I talked about how that could be something for video games. Imagine now the landscape is GAN-based. The people are GAN-based.
Right. Like, I'll never be Bob Ross. I can never paint a really nice landscape.
The sketches you saw, those are me. Yeah. Grass, green paint. That's it.
But there you go. Just like add textures and bingo bango. You've got beauty.
What could this lead to? I mean, they're obviously experimenting with artificial intelligence, machine learning, and I dare say machine comprehension.
Right.
So if I draw a circle that is in the color of a rock, that the GAN would then say, that's a rock, and create a rock based on that.
Ah, love it.
That's astonishing.
Yeah.
And even if it's not perfect, and maybe it messes up here and there, and, you know, the ears are off kilter sometimes in the facial generation, but it's amazing. The technology is astonishing.
And these are really like the baby moments of this technology.
Doesn't
like
it feel like that?
And it's going to just, I can't even comprehend how great it's going to be, because I'm so just jazzed up about the beginning. Like,
yeah,
you can create faces and textures and landscapes, and I mean, you could put on a VR headset and be in a world that...
in a GAN-based world with people walking around with lopsided ears, but it's okay.
But it's okay.
Because you've done good in your infancy, GAN.
You've done real good.
Yeah.
Generative adversarial networking.
So games is one thing.
Yes.
Now...
I think therapies, like different therapies, or...
You always put the like the kind of, like...
I feel like because
that spin on things.
That's the most helpful way, I think, these technologies
It's got to start with video games. It's got to start with games.
It does start with video games,
Come
but then
on.
it goes into things like...
Artwork is another one.
Yeah.
Really?
Real.
Think about how it could be used to allow people to express themselves through artwork. Like, I'm not an artist. I can sketch or whatever. But that's
well, maybe you are an artist.
But maybe
it's just that you don't have the ability to totally put your vision there, but they'll help you with that.
So the keyboard, the Casio keyboard from the 1980s, where I can push one key and a whole chord would play.
Right.
Is that the equivalent of being able to draw a line and having a whole tree appear? Is that is this the tool that's going to allow non-musicians to become musicians and non-artists to become artists?
Right.
Is this the next evolution in its very infancy stage of that artistry?
Right. Can you picture, just for this moment, like you go into your, say, living room, and there's this big screen. It's not, and it looks like a picture frame, and every day the artwork changes to something that you've drawn.
Oh, well, that would be just a bunch of stick figures.
But it wouldn't be,
But enter
because
the GAN.
now, exactly.
Enter the GAN.
Right? So you're having a dinner party and you want to create a certain vibe for
Yeah.
that. And you paint, a winter landscape because you're serving, a roasted turkey.
Could it get to the point where the GAN, this being the machine learning system, could actually generate? So think about, remember how we have these picture frames that are actually a computer screen.
Right.
And they can generate image slideshows.
Yes.
What if the GAN could create a picture and it's always changing and it's always evolving and it's always different based on various feedback? So whether it's your mood
or the music,
facial recognition says, Robbie's really had a hard day today. I can tell that on his face. Facial recognition can do this with machine learning.
Right.
That's where we're at. So could it now give me a scene that is that is soothing to me?
How incredibly manipulative would that be? You come in sour-faced. Maybe a drone has now dropped off a coffee to you on your way in, because that happens.
Perfect.
You come in and your face has been recognized as being slightly, anxious, we'll say, or angry. So your display changes in your artwork and the music comes on to relax you. Like, this is a whole...
There you go.
Yeah. It just will...
The whole thing is interconnected and intertwined.
Yeah.
That's where we're headed.
Oh, that is great.
That this is possible.
Yeah.
We were talking, because this being our 600th episode of Tech TV.
Right.
And the newsroom, to talk about how technology has evolved. And none of this was anything but science fiction when we started Category 5 Technology TV 600 weeks ago.
In 600 weeks from now, we'll be talking about how, man, we had that idea. We probably should have patented that exact idea.
Even better. 600 weeks from now, they will be saying, remember when this idea was first mentioned on Category 5 Technology TV?
Perfect.
Perfect.
One of the world's biggest producers of aluminum has been hit by a serious ransomware attack that shut down its worldwide network, stopped or disrupted plants, and sent IT workers scrambling to return operations to normal. Norsk Hydro of Norway said the malware first hit computers in the United States on Monday night. By Tuesday morning, the infection had spread to other parts of the company, which operates in 40 countries. Company officials responded by isolating plants to prevent further spreading. Some plants were temporarily stopped, while others, which had to be kept running continuously, were switched to manual mode when possible. The company's 35,000 employees were instructed to keep computers turned off, but were allowed to use phones and tablets to check email. Chief Financial Officer Eyvind Kallvik said during a press conference Tuesday, "Let me be clear. The situation for Norsk Hydro through this is quite severe. The entire worldwide network is down, affecting our production as well as our office operations." End quote. The ransomware that infected Norsk Hydro is known as Locker Goga, which doesn't rely on the use of network traffic or domain name system or command and control servers, traits that allow the ransomware to bypass many network defenses. A sample of the malware was uploaded to VirusTotal from Norway on Tuesday morning, and at the time the malware was first scanned, it was detected by only 17 of 67 biggest AV products. Although this quickly increased once awareness of the Norsk Hydro infection grew. An official with the Norwegian National Security Authority stopped short of confirming Norsk Hydro was infected by Locker Goga, saying only that it was one of the theories. The majority of the company's plants continue operating normally, but the network shutdown prevents plants from receiving future orders from customers. While the losses at the moment seem minimal, they'll grow over time if automated systems aren't restored. Company IT teams are working to remove the ransomware from infected systems. Once that's done, the team plans to restore lost data using company backups and do not plan to pay the ransom. Norsk Hydro shares traded down about 0.7% following the report of the infection. Aluminum futures on the London Metal Exchange rose in line with other metals. So that could have a huge ripple effect. Because now this is an infection that wasn't found, I guess, by most antivirus, right?
Yeah.
17 of 37.
And where did it come from? How does it spread without networking? I'm really curious about the underlying technology of this. I'd love to know more. And maybe, if we're fortunate, maybe we'll have some light on that. I want to say, oh, well, you should have had this in place, or you should have, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have good backups. So good job, guys. Well done. That's key. When it comes to recovering from a ransomware attack, having current, off-site, disconnected, untouchable backups that cannot be encrypted by the very ransomware that's infiltrating your network. Those backups are key.
Yes.
And having redundancy on those backups. So multiple backup sets. So that, hey, if one is affected or otherwise compromised, the next one is viable. So they're good on that.
Yeah, so that's why they're firm on they're not paying the ransom, because they know they have the backups.
They've got their backups and they're good.
Yeah.
CEO said, it's good. Backups are good.
But
it takes
turn
time.
on your computers.
So we got to think of that as business owners, as people in IT, as those who represent companies. We have to think about what is the recovery time from an attack like this. And I've had it come up in discussions with customers who have said, oh yeah, we've got backups. And I say, okay, you've got a backup. When was the last time you checked on the state of your backup? And they say, well, I don't know, our IT guy set that up 2 years ago.
Right.
And I don't think we've really looked into it since then. And here's my advice to them. And I'll share this with you, because if you work in IT or if you represent any amount of IT within a company, this is important information. What I share with them at that point is, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pretend that all the files on your network are gone. I want you to turn off your server. I want you to take what you normally access in a day. So your network shares everything on your computer. I want you to shut it down. Do this on a weekend. But I want you to do this. This is key. Do this every year, okay? And recover from that. I want you to then take your backups. So if you've been taking that backup drive home with you, I want you to bring it back to the office, and I want you to time yourself. What is it going to take to recover from that? From a catastrophic destruction of all data. It could be a fire. It could be an explosion. It could be a ransomware attack, which is really on par with both of those things.
Right.
How long is it going to take you to recover? Because a lot of small businesses, and here's my point, a lot of small businesses in the recovery time from a ransomware attack. So even if I have good backups, the time that it takes for me to recover with those backups from a ransomware attack can put me out of business.
Right.
Hydro is a big company. They'll recover. They have backups. They have a team that will get them back up and running fairly quickly. But they're going to lose a lot of money. The cost of aluminum is going to go up. That's going to line some pockets, but it's also going to cost others. The company themselves, they'll be okay. They'll recover, but they're huge. Remember that. 40 countries.
Right. So they can do this.
They can recover from this because they've got the capital. They've got the ability to recover from such a thing. A small company, say 100 computers less, now try to recover from that type of disaster. And if you're going to find that your backups are going to keep you, to recover from backup is going to take you a week, how will your company fare? Looking at your current contracts, how are you going to be a week from now if you have to reset? So you have to lose that entire week for not just you, but your entire staff, for your entire organization and everything that has happened up to that point. How would you fare?
Right.
What if it's 3 weeks?
Yeah, if that...
Okay. And so that's why when I ask, hey, what's your recovery process? Disaster recovery is very important. It's like when we were kids, what did we do? We had a fire exit
Exactly.
plan,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's kind of the tech equivalent to having like a fire drill.
Yeah, the fire
Right.
drill, there's a purpose behind that. It's so that we're ready, so that if a fire really happens, these little kids know how to get out of the building.
Right. And it becomes practiced. So if you're doing a practice backup, then when the time comes, you aren't in this state of anxiety. And the first hurdle you encounter, you're like, oh, I'll just pay the ransom.
Right.
You're okay. You're calm. You know what it's going
You're
to
not gonna pay
take.
the ransom.
You know, you're.
The ransom will put you out of business. Yeah. But you hit the nail on the head. It's practice. What happens when you practice? Practice makes
Progress.
Perfect.
I know.
Practice makes perfect.
So you will be able to recover, and you might even bring down the timeline. So the first couple of times you do it, it takes you a while.
Even
and then,
still.
And then eventually you could bring it down. It'll still be a chunk of time, but now you know how to recover with your backup.
Can I take it one step further?
Yes.
Practicing a fire drill.
Yes.
You know, if you've ever been a teacher in kindergarten, you know the practices only get better because you realize which students are the ones that you need to carry.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the kid that is going to drag his heels and sit down in the corner of the room.
Right.
Right. You learn that, okay, there's a problem here. We need to address that. If there, with your backups, with your restoration process, you're going to learn, oh my, our accounting software is not part of the backup. Our PST files on all of our computers that carry all of our contacts, all of our calendars, all of our emails for the last 6 months are not part of our backup. What? Okay, we need to fix that. So now our practice process becomes disaster prevention. So it takes it to a whole new level, and that whole process now is going to protect us so that if it ever does happen, we can say with confidence, when I say, how are your backups? What's your restoration process? We can say, well, yeah, we went through the process. Every 6 months we do this.
Yeah, we've got this.
We emulate a disaster recovery situation, and we're good. We've got good backups. We have multi-redundant offsite backups. We're good to go.
So schedule that in your calendar right now.
Get that in your calendar, absolutely. All right, let's jump right into the cryptocurrency market for this week. As of March 20th, 2019. This is what things look like on CoinGecko. Bitcoin, basically everything is on its way up. Like we're seeing a real growth curve on cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is up $155 US and 28 cents. So it's sitting at $4,022.67. Finally breaking the $4,000 mark. It hasn't in a while. Litecoin is up at $59.95. Ethereum is at $138.08, climbing $6.42 US per coin. It's a smaller coin, so that's acceptable. Monero, another smaller coin, gained a whopping $4.64. Now I say a whopping, its value is $54.25, so that's a really good gain.
So that's a good percentage.
Stellite, one of the smaller guys, has gained 0.06 ten-thousandths of a cent. Now keep in mind, these are really, really small coins that are really, really easy to mine, and they are sitting at 1.6 ten-thousandths of a cent. Turtle Coin is the only one that has lost a little bit, losing 0.08 ten-thousandths of a cent per coin, and is currently sitting at 0.7 ten-thousandths of a cent. Remember, the cryptocurrency market never closes and is always volatile.
Big thanks to Roy W. Nash and our community of viewers for submitting stories to us this week. Thanks for watching the Category5.tv newsroom. Don't forget to like and subscribe for all your tech news with a slight Linux bias. And for more free content, be sure to check out our website. From the Category5.tv newsroom, I'm Sasha Rickman.
And I'm Robbie Ferguson.